Hey everyone, I'm on a mission to hit 1,000 subscribers, and I'd love your help to get there. If you're enjoying the content, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button right now and join the family.
The internet didn't just react, it detonated. One clip, barely a minute long, tore through social media like wildfire, leaving the Cleveland Browns scrambling to contain what might be the biggest leak of the season. What started as an ordinary practice day behind closed gates turned into a full-scale public reckoning. Someone inside the facility hit record, and in a few shaky seconds of cell phone footage, the team's best-kept secret was laid bare. Cleveland thought they could control the narrative, that their depth chart politics and quiet internal experiments would stand to wraps until they were ready. But the truth has a way of slipping out, and this time, it came wrapped in high-definition proof of everything fans suspected. The clip opens with Sheduer Sanders lining up with the second-string offense, a decision that already had whispers floating around fan forums. Coaches had claimed it was about development, but the tension behind the scenes was thick enough to feel. As the defense barks across the line, the air seems normal until the ball snaps. 2 steps, eyes forward, laser focus. In one effortless motion, Shedeur launches a 45-yard strike that threads the field like it was programmed by precision software. The sound of the ball slicing through the air is almost drowned by the stunned silence that follows. Then chaos, players sprinting toward him, laughter, celebration, disbelief. It wasn't just a good throw, it was a statement. The kind of moment that makes everyone watching realize they just saw something they weren't supposed to. Within minutes, that single clip found its way online. The caption said it all: "They've been hiding him from us." And that was enough. Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram ignited, timelines filling with disbelief, praise, and outrage all at once. The story wasn't just about one throw anymore. It was about everything Cleveland had been trying to keep quiet. The world had seen their future franchise quarterback hiding in plain sight, and the reaction was instant. By the time the team realized what had happened, the narrative had already escaped their control. The internet had crowned its king, and no amount of damage control could undo what everyone just witnessed. What made this clip different wasn't just the throw, it was the atmosphere that followed. You could feel the shift through the screen, that rare electric charge when talent becomes undeniable. The camera catches Sheduer Sanders, calm and composed, standing behind a makeshift huddle of second-string players. The defense jawing across the line doesn't faze him. He calls for the snap, scans downfield, and then, without hesitation, launches a pass that cuts through the autumn air like a missile. 45 yards later, it lands perfectly in stride with the receiver. No adjustment needed, no stumble, no chance for doubt. It's the kind of throw reserved for Sundays under stadium lights, not weekday practices hidden from the public eye. The reaction says it all. Teammates explode downfield, helmets flying off, shouting, jumping around like they just won a playoff game. It's pure energy, uncoached and unscripted. Behind them, coaches exchange quiet glances, the kind of look that says they know what just happened can't be ignored. That's when fans realized this wasn't an isolated moment. It wasn't luck or a lucky camera angle. It was evidence, a window into the Browns' most guarded secret. The clip spread like gasoline meeting a spark, and within minutes, the conversation wasn't about practice anymore. It was about exposure, about why the team's best arm was still buried in the depth chart. It wasn't just a highlight reel, it was a revelation. The kind of viral moment that forces every eye in the league to turn and ask the same question: why is this guy not starting? It took less than 15 minutes for the footage to detonate across every corner of the internet. One fan post with the caption, "They've been hiding him from us," became the match that lit the blaze. Twitter turned into a war zone of disbelief and celebration. Hashtags like #StartShedeur and #QB1 began trending within the hour. TikTok was even faster. Reaction clips, slow-motion breakdowns, side-by-side comparisons of Shedeur's throw next to elite NFL highlights. YouTube creators rushed to upload their film analysis videos, dissecting every angle, every flick of his wrist. Overnight, a single practice clip transformed into a nationwide movement. Cleveland's official accounts were swarmed by furious fans demanding answers. Comments flooded in by the thousands. "Play the man, stop the politics." The locker room already knows. It wasn't just Browns fans either. Supporters from rival franchises jumped in saying even their franchises would kill for a quarterback that calm under pressure. It felt less like sports debate and more like a digital uprising. The internet had seen the truth, and now it wanted accountability. Within hours, sports media joined the frenzy. ESPN played the clip live, frame by frame, while Stephen A. Smith shouted, "That's not potential, that's a franchise quarterback right now." Shannon Sharpe's reaction spread just as fast. "Cleveland, stop playing games and start your best player." Dan Orlovsky broke it down the mechanics like an obsessed scientist: timing, velocity, anticipation, all professional grade. Across networks, across podcasts, the consensus was forming in real time. Sheduer Sanders wasn't just good, he was ready.
By that evening, reporters were tweeting cryptic updates. Insiders hinted that the Browns' coaching staff was under fire internally. Some claimed that certain players were beginning to speak out privately. The public narrative had fully escaped team control. And once that happens online, there's no putting it back. The world wasn't just reacting anymore. It was watching, analyzing, and demanding a change before the season even started. The clip had turned from viral moment to full-blown organizational crisis, and everyone knew it. But what happened next made things even more unstable. Inside the Browns facility, things started to shift in ways no one could ignore. What had begun as whispers in the locker room turned into open statements. Players weren't waiting for coaches to make it official. They had already decided who their quarterback was. Wide receivers began warming up exclusively with Sheduer Sanders, running routes with more energy, more precision. Offensive linemen started calling him 12, not just as a jersey number, but as a title, something symbolic, a quiet show of allegiance. The message was loud, without a single word spoken. He's the one we believe in. Veterans who had seen years of quarterback rotations and failed experiments were suddenly acting like rookies again, excited, motivated, dialed in. One offensive tackle reportedly told teammates, "We're watching our best quarterback throw to second stringers while pretending otherwise." Another receiver said what everyone was thinking, "I don't care about draft politics, I care about winning." It wasn't defiance, it was honesty, surfacing after months of bottled frustration. The energy in the building had changed completely, and leadership was no longer coming from the head coach's office, it was coming from the field, from number 12. Meanwhile, Dillon Gabriel found himself isolated. No one said it out loud, but the air around him was colder now. His reps looked heavier, his throws more mechanical, as if he could feel the eyes measuring every miss. It wasn't personal, it was inevitable. Once a locker room chooses its leader, it's almost impossible to reverse. And this one had chosen fast, driven by raw, undeniable proof on that leaked video. By midweek, reporters were picking up murmurs of tension. Anonymous sources described uneasy vibes between offensive units and the coaching staff. Small details painted the bigger picture. Shedeur getting extra conversations with linemen, players hanging near his locker after practice, veteran defenders offering quiet nods of respect. The momentum had shifted entirely. The team wasn't divided anymore, it was unified, just not the way the front office intended. Every organization has its breaking point, the moment when politics can't outweigh performance. For Cleveland, that moment had arrived. The locker room had revolted, not with protest signs or public statements, but through action, who they stood beside, who they practiced with, who they followed. Shedeur didn't need to declare himself the leader. The team had already done it for him. For head coach Kevin Stefanski, the moment that video hit the public wasn't just an inconvenience, it was an unraveling. For years, he'd been praised for his control, for his structured systems, his quiet command of the locker room. But control only lasts as long as the narrative does. And once that clip surfaced, his grip began to slip. Every decision he made suddenly looked political. Every press conference, every rotation in practice, every vague statement about evaluation felt like damage control instead of leadership. The internet had exposed something that years of press polish couldn't cover. He was losing his team. When reporters asked about the viral footage, Stefanski's answer was short and lifeless. "We're evaluating everything. No excitement, no pride, just exhaustion disguised as professionalism." The subtext was clear. He knew the truth had escaped. Players noticed it too. The tone of his voice, the stiffness in his posture, the absence of the usual confidence. It didn't sound like a coach setting the tone. It sounded like a man reacting to something he could no longer contain. Behind closed doors, chaos was building. Sources described emergency meetings between the front office and the coaching staff, debating how to handle the fallout.
PR teams were drafting statements, executives were monitoring social media sentiment in real time, and internal leaks hinted that ownership wasn't exactly siding with the head coach anymore. Jimmy Haslam reportedly viewed the viral moment as proof that his draft night gamble had paid off, and he wasn't happy seeing the organization hesitate to embrace it. The tension between owner and coach was no longer a rumor. It was visible in every sidelong glance during practice. For the players, the power shift was already complete. Stefanski's words carried less weight because the locker room had chosen its own direction. His once tight command had turned into quiet resistance. Players nodding through meetings but following their own instincts once they hit the field. Coaches could sense it too. The atmosphere that used to buzz with focus now pulsed with quiet rebellion. Every throw from Shedeur reinforced what everyone was thinking, but few dared to say. The coach was standing in the way of momentum.
By the end of the week, the image of Stefanski as the unshakable strategist was gone. He wasn't leading the story anymore, he was surviving it. His authority hadn't just weakened, it had evaporated in real time, broadcast for millions to see. And what began as a single leaked clip had now become something far bigger, a test of whether leadership in modern football is earned by strategy or by undeniable proof caught on camera. What happened in Cleveland wasn't just a quarterback controversy, it was a snapshot of a revolution quietly reshaping the NFL. For decades, teams controlled the message. Coaches, PR departments, and front offices dictated what fans saw, when they saw it, and how it was interpreted. But that model doesn't work anymore. In an era where every player, fan, and intern carries a camera in their pocket, truth doesn't wait for press releases. The moment that clip of Sheduer Sanders hit the internet, the old power dynamic died in real time. The fans didn't need confirmation from analysts or insiders. They saw it with their own eyes, and that changed everything. This was more than a viral highlight. It was a declaration. The balance of power had shifted from management to the masses, from coaching politics to public perception. A single fan with a smartphone dismantled months of controlled narrative in under an hour. The Browns' front office had been operating under an outdated belief that talent could be hidden until it was convenient to reveal. But the internet isn't patient, and fans aren't passive anymore. They demand transparency, and when they don't get it, they find it themselves. Around the league, other teams were paying attention. Coaches and GMs who had once mocked social media frenzy were suddenly rethinking media access policies. They understood what Cleveland was learning the hard way. One unfiltered moment can redefine careers. Shedeur's calm command, his effortless throws, the chemistry radiating from his teammates, all of it formed a narrative stronger than any press conference could undo. He didn't just win reps that day. He won hearts, headlines, and leverage. For players, it was validation, a reminder that their work, their energy, their authenticity mattered more than pre-written scouting reports. For coaches, it was a warning that authority in the digital age depends on alignment with truth, not suppression of it. Once fans see genuine leadership, no amount of organizational spin can bury it again. Sheduer Sanders had unknowingly become the face of a larger cultural shift, the rise of player empowerment fueled by the unstoppable momentum of social media. And somewhere in the middle of all that, one question lingered across the NFL. If a single leaked clip could expose a franchise's politics and flip its entire power structure, what other truths were waiting to be caught on camera? As the storm reached its peak, the tension inside the Browns organization turned into a silent tug-of-war between ownership and the coaching staff. Behind the scenes, Jimmy Haslam was reportedly thrilled. To him, that viral clip wasn't a scandal. It was proof of vision. The man he'd fought to draft had just shown the world why he was worth the risk. But for Kevin Stefanski and his staff, it was a nightmare. The video had stripped away every layer of control they'd built, and now the owner himself was applying pressure. Sources whispered that Haslam wanted one thing immediately:
More reps for Sheduer Sanders. The order was clear, even if it wasn't public. That command, however, didn't come without consequences. The coaching staff found themselves divided, half understanding that the locker room had already chosen its leader, the other half determined to stick to the development plan. Meetings grew tense. Coaches spoke carefully, knowing one wrong sentence could end up in a report or tweet. The organization was no longer united by strategy, it was fractured by survival instinct. Everyone was protecting their position in a crumbling hierarchy. Meanwhile, Dillon Gabriel's camp saw the writing on the wall. Agents began making quiet phone calls, gauging trade interest, exploring backup plans in case the Browns moved forward without him. What once looked like healthy competition had turned into an open secret. One player's rise meant another's inevitable exit. Inside the locker room, teammates noticed the change. Shedeur's confidence kept building, his energy contagious, while Gabriel's presence faded to the background. It wasn't arrogance, it was momentum, and nobody could stop it. The front office scrambled to contain the narrative. Press statements were drafted and rewritten, trying to sound neutral while addressing the obvious. But neutrality doesn't work when millions of fans have already decided what's real. Every official comment felt hollow compared to the raw footage that everyone had already watched, replayed, and shared. Cleveland had lost control of its story, and the public wasn't waiting for permission to interpret it. As preseason approached, the entire franchise sat on a knife's edge. The owner was pushing one way, the coach resisting another, and the locker room already moving on without either. The city of Cleveland buzzed with speculation, sports radio callers, podcast hosts, and fans on Reddit arguing about what would happen next. But deep down, most already knew. The organization could delay the inevitable, dress it in press language and cautious optimism, but it wouldn't change the truth. The team had seen its future on that practice field, and the fans had seen it too. The fallout wasn't over. It was just beginning. And every decision the Browns made from here on would either accelerate the transition or destroy what little unity remained. For Cleveland, the countdown to the next chapter had already started.
By the time the chaos settled, one truth had become impossible to deny. The Cleveland Browns could no longer hide what the world had already seen. The leaked footage wasn't just a viral moment, it was a turning point. It shattered illusions, exposed politics, and revealed something that no press conference could spin away. In less than a day, Sheduer Sanders had gone from a development project to the face of a cultural shift in professional football. The world had watched him step into a throw, thread it through traffic, and, without saying a single word, take control of a franchise. The fans didn't need analysts to tell them what they saw. They recognized greatness, and that kind of truth doesn't fade from memory. Inside the organization, denial still lingers in small corners, those hoping the storm will pass, the detention will move elsewhere, but it won't. The story has grown too big, too symbolic. It's no longer just about who starts at quarterback, it's about what the moment represents. The modern NFL isn't built solely on playbooks and press releases anymore. It's built on visibility, authenticity, and connection. When fans see raw talent on their screens, when teammates rally without being told, when leadership appears naturally instead of being assigned, it changes how everyone defines authority. The Browns situation is just one chapter in a much larger evolution happening across sports. The old hierarchies are eroding. Coaches and executives can't gatekeep the narrative the way they once did because every player has the power to rewrite it with a single viral moment. The truth moves faster than the organizations that try to contain it. And for Cleveland, that lesson came in the form of one perfect throw, one celebration that couldn't be hidden, one leak that turned into a movement. As the regular season approaches, there's no pretending this didn't happen. The locker room knows it, the fans know it, the owner knows it. Everyone's waiting for the inevitable because the footage already told the story in full. Sheduer Sanders isn't a prospect waiting his turn, he's the quarterback everyone has already accepted as the future. The only thing left is for the organization to admit it out loud, because once the truth goes public, there's no taking it back. And Cleveland's truth is now out there, visible, undeniable, and playing on repeat across every screen in America.